Well, hello, folks out there in YouTube land. It's that time of year when we do this. We give out our report card and we grade the different position groups. This is always a fun show, especially after a victory.
If you ain't first, you're last. You know what I'm talking about?
Now, overall, I thought the Vols played pretty well. Defense was great. The offensive line running back, I was real pleased with how they played. Joe Milton had a solid game. I think he can play better. I don't think that's his best self, but he played pretty well and solidly the whole game. And he had one or two bad series there, but for the most part, he was pretty solid. Virginia struggled at everything, and I think we had a lot to do with that. But let's get into these grades. And, of course, we won the game handily, 49-13. We started off a little sluggish after a great first drive, but our defense kept us in there really well. As you can see, Joe Milton threw for about 69% for 200 yards, 2 touchdowns. That's certainly solid. Nothing wrong with that at all. Nico showed up in the fourth quarter, and you can just tell he's special. Just the way he moves in the pocket, he's got that elusiveness that Hendon had. And he just needs experience, and he needs to get a little bigger. But I liked what little bit we saw of him. But as far as quarterback goes, I'm going to give Joe a B+. I don't think it was his A game, but it certainly wasn't any worse than B+. And I almost gave him an A-, probably somewhere between those two grades. I want to see him play A+. I got so used to giving Hendon A+, I don't know that there was ever a game I didn't. It just got, and so I'm kind of grading him against a curve, and it's not really fair. But a B+ to an A- is probably where I'm at with him. But let's get into our running backs. 12 for 125 yards. Jalen Wright played great. Jabari Small had 67 yards, a little over 5-yard average. Dylan Sampson scored 3 touchdowns, by the way. 4-yard average. He did a lot of short running, which was really helpful. And then Joe Milton ran the ball. I was super pleased to see Joe run the ball so many times. If he will become a dual threat, that will change the defense that he's up against. Because when he starts running, they won't be able to pin their ears back and just come after him. And I was really glad to see him run the ball. And he had 2 touchdowns, by the way, running. So that was really nice to see. Keith got in, ran a couple of times. That's a big 230-pounder. And Nico ran once, and Cam Selden was in there a couple of times. So as far as running backs are concerned, and I'm going to go ahead and put the offensive line in this as well, they had 1 sack against us. And Joe sometimes gets sacked, but the offensive line played great. One of the reasons the running backs had so much success is there was a lot of big holes, and that was without Cooper Mays, which I think's a big sign that UT's on the right track. So total yardage running, as you can see right here, was 287 yards. That is just fantastic. Could not be more pleased. So the offensive line and the running backs, I have to give you this grade. That's right, A+++. I could not be more pleased with our running game and the offensive line. Y'all played great. The wide receiver group, I'm going to give you the same grade that I gave Joe Milton, somewhere between a B+ and an A-. We did have that one drop by our most sure-handed wide receiver. Ramel Keaton has just got fantastic hands. He never drops the ball, especially one that's right there. So first game, he may have, maybe just had a bad play. That's all it was. But overall, I thought the receivers played well. Brew was solid. You can see right here, Ramel still had 3 catches for 66. Squirrel, 6 for 45. I could not tell if he was significantly hurt or if maybe he just got the wind knocked out of him. Brew McCoy had a couple of nice catches. Castle showed up. Jamari Small had 3. Dante had 2, etc. So, overall, I thought they did just fine. Nothing fantastic, but again, a B+ to an A-. I'm fine with that for the wide receivers. Now let's talk about our defense. Virginia had a total of 200 yards. That's great. They had 106 passing yards. 106 passing yards for a team that normally gives up 300 like we did last year when we were ranked 135th out of 131 teams. Do the math on that. But anyway, 100 yards is great. I could not be more pleased with the secondary. I tell you what, ever since that South Carolina game, the secondary and the defense has been playing pretty well. Vanderbilt didn't score a point. And what did Clemson, the conference champion, ACC conference champion, scored, 17 or something? So that's 17 points in those 2 games. And then what, 13 this, that's 30, 10-point average in 2022 and 23. I mean, the last 3 games, that's great. Defense is obviously, ever since that Carolina game, has decided they're going to play hard. And rushing yards, they only give up 95. Under 100 is fantastic. 3 yards a play. All the sacks. The defensive line had 4 sacks, 2 by James Pierce and 2 by Tyler Barron. That's 4. That's fantastic. I love that. Could not be more pleased with the defense. And I cannot believe I'm about to say this, but I'm going to give the defense as a whole this grade. Yep. I can't believe it either. You're just as shocked as I am. An A+++++. And I don't, have I ever done that for, I did with the Vanderbilt game. I gave them an A+++, and that was the only one. So I could not be more pleased with them. Now we're going to talk about the one position that struggled, I thought, and that was special teams. We had a fumble, even though D. Williams actually, he played well as a whole, but when you have a fumble, you know, that's really tough. But he ran the ball back 3 times very nicely. I believe he averaged around 35 yards per punt return, which is terrific. But that fumble really hurt us. But fortunately, our defense picked us back up and kept that from becoming a problem. And then we had 2 shank punts. So you can't have 2 shank punts and a fumble in special teams and expect to get a good grade. So here is your grade, special teams.
C+. Oh, no, it can't be.
Yep, sorry, I had to give you the C+. It wasn't any worse than a C+. It wasn't a D. It wasn't an F. D. Williams made sure of that. And then the punter kind of got his stuff together and had some nice punts after that. So overall, I was okay with it, but they got to improve the special teams. You know, you deserve the C+. As far as coaching, I'm going to give the coaching a B+ to an A, somewhere in the neighborhood. And as far as Josh Heupel is concerned, we couldn't be more pleased. I think we've got the best coach in the country, especially for our situation. I'm so glad we aren't dealing with what Florida's dealing with right now. They're not happy, and they're not comfortable with that situation, and it's just not good. And now there's some, you know, concern about Shane Beamer and all that stuff. I'm not near as concerned about Shane Beamer as I am Billy Napier. But as far as our coaching staff is concerned, I could not be more pleased. Just keep everything the same, keep doing what you're doing. I don't think there's anybody that's unhappy with our head coach. If you are, you don't know anything about football whatsoever. And that's okay, but you're wrong. All right, folks, I did want to do a report card. We did do a reaction show after the game yesterday, but I wanted to have a day to think about it and put a little pen to paper and kind of put some grades together. And I feel pretty comfortable, very pleased with the first game of the year. Couldn't have gone much better, and I think we're going to be just fine. We'll have a kind of week off. Next game, that'll be against, Austin Peay, and everybody will kind of get some reps in. We'll get some second stringers in there. And one thing that happened, too, you know, when Virginia came down and scored after we went up 35-3, don't worry a whole lot about that drive. There was a lot of second and third string guys in during there. You know, when we went up by, 33 points or 32 points, you're going to put your second string in there. So I wasn't terribly concerned about that. But at this time, I do want to thank my sponsor of today's video. And that is, of course, my favorite place to play golf. I play there every week, Sevierville Golf Club. They have 2 beautiful golf courses out there, the River and the Highlands. The River is a little tougher than the Highlands. You can pick your tees. They got 5 different sets of tees depending on your skill level. The courses are in fantastic condition, always in great shape. The greens are bent grass and they putt beautifully. I'm just going to tell you this, if you miss a putt out there, that's on you because they putt really well. And the fairways are just great. And even with all the rain, they just kept the course in great shape that we've had this summer. And if you want to practice out there, terrific practice facility. I practice out there every week. You can work on your putting, chipping, of course, your irons and your driver and all that. And if you want to grab something to eat or drink, just pop into Mulligan's. They've got a chef in there. They got real good service. Get you something to drink, something to eat. Be sure to check out Mulligan's. And I highly endorse Sevierville Golf Club. They even got the computers on the golf carts that'll tell you exact yardage to the pin. I mean, it's great. So be sure to check out Sevierville Golf Club. And if you like this content, be sure to hit that like button. Lets me know to continue to cover the Vols and all our opponents and all that kind of stuff. And if you've not subscribed, it's on your right, my left. Just hit that little button. Shia is out of work right now. All of Hollywood's out of work. This is the only job he could get. And help the guy out and hit that little button. That helps him, makes him feel better about himself. And then right over here's most recent video that YouTube thinks you'll love. And we'll see you next time on Sports Talk Jay.